Hey gang, it's Sean here from the Commander's Brew. We've got a deck tech in Rakdos. It's Kamber and Laurine, the new partnered commanders from the Crimson Vow Commander Precons. Check it out. These are partners from the Crimson Vow Commander decks. You know how they've got commander decks now from every major release.
Yes, it's exhausting.
It's exhausting. Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. We're brewing around two partnered commanders. Let's read who they are. Kamber, the Plunderer, 3 and a black, legendary creature, vampire rogue, and partners with Laurine, the Diversion. So Kamber is a 3/4 with lifelink for 4, 3 and a black, legendary vampire rogue. Lifelink. When a creature dies, any creature, doesn't say non-token, doesn't say it has to be under your control, you gain 1 life and you create a blood token. And we know blood tokens are those little artifacts where we can pay 1, tap it, discard a card, sacrifice the blood token, and then you draw a card. They're kind of like rummaging on a little artifact. They're meant to be in the family of clues, in the family of treasures. They're little trinkety artifacts that do stuff. Food, I guess, would be another one. And so who is Laurine? Laurine, the Diversion, 2 and a red, legendary human rogue, 2 rogues, a vampire and a human, partnered up. Laurine is a 3/3 with first strike, and Laurine says 2, sacrifice an artifact or a creature, goad target creature. You can see the writing on the wall is Kamber's meant to make a bunch of blood tokens. We can either use them or Laurine can sack them and goad creatures. Hopefully those creatures, as they're goaded, will get into combat. Something will die, which will create more blood tokens, and we can kind of keep that cycle going. I think that's the design idea behind it, and that seems like a pretty cool design pair. That's kind of like that's a cool little thing going on in Rakdos. Of course, we're going to use that, but we're not going to exclusively use the blood just to like rummage, and we're not exclusively goading. And I'm going to be honest, like this deck leans much more heavily on Kamber than it does Laurine.
I'll say this. I'm just reading the names of these cards. First of all, I love the name Laurine.
Yeah.
It's just a great mix of 2 pretty normal names, Lauren and like, I don't know, Maureen or something.
Yeah.
But you're calling, so Laurine's the Diversion and she goads stuff. So you'd think that Kamber, the Plunderer, would do something when he hits a player because they've been distracted and there's no one there, and he gets to come in and has like an effect when he hits a player. That's totally what I would have guessed from their names, but that is absolutely not the case. I guess the plundering is the blood token thing that's happening. Maybe a bit of a flavor fail here on Kamber a little bit, but I do like the abilities, and I think, as we've seen with clues and stuff, blood's exciting. I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, so, I mean, there is goading, although that's not the heaviest part of the deck. So we definitely want to have some Monarch going around. We like combat. We want things to die. Let's get the Monarch going. Court of Ambition, 2 black for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. And at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent is going to lose 3 life unless they discard a card. Or if you're the Monarch, they lose 6 life unless they discard 2 cards. That's heavy duty, whether you're Monarch or not. Yeah. That's a significant ability. So this card's perfect in the deck. And of course, Marchesa's Decree, 3 and a black for an enchantment. When it enters, you become the Monarch. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, that creature's controller loses 1 life. We're also hinting at a sub-theme of this deck, which is making our opponents lose life 1 at a time, sort of 1,000 cuts kind of idea. So between the goading, between the blood and all this stuff, that's kind of where we're starting. Andy, who's up next? Marchesa's Decree prevents those people from attacking us. It dissuades people. But if we're the Monarch, we want to keep it. So we got stuff like this.
Oh, this is just a true Commander's Brew classic. Stinkweed Imp. I mean, man, we were hot on this card right from the start of this podcast, and everyone else has caught up to us, and we all know how good this card is now. Stinkweed Imp, 2 and a black for the 1/2 flyer. When it deals combat damage to a player, destroy that creature. Of course, it's that weird death touch thing. And it has Dredge, so we can Dredge 5 with Stinkweed Imp, which is he's like one of the strongest dredgers, as well as being a great blocker. Like he's got everything going for him. This is why we use this card all the time.
And I want to give you some think about how Stinkweed Imp works in the context of blood tokens, right? Whenever we use a blood token, we discard a card and draw a card. That's our Dredge right there. We can get Stinkweed back just by cracking a blood, or we can pitch Stinkweed Imp to crack a blood and then for future, something like that. I don't know. There's lots of discarding and drawing going on, so that just makes Dredge more interesting.
I love the phrase crack a blood.
Crack a blood? I know. Crack a clue, crack a treasure, crack a blood.
Sounds weird.
I imagine they're in like those glow stick tubes that you gotta crack them. Yeah, they bend a bit. Them? Yeah. What's inside them? Anyway, that's for another podcast.
Blood, man. It says right on it. But it glows.
It's true. And then just a couple of extra cards, a couple more vegetables to set the scene here. Since we're doing a lot with discarding with blood, we've got some madness spells. Andy, what are 2 highlighted madness spells here?
Terminal Agony is one here. 2 black, red sorcery, destroy target creature, and it's got madness for black and a red. So a lot of the times you're going to be able to pay the 1 for the blood token, and then discard this, draw a card, and kill something. I mean, that's a pretty great deal. You're getting it's a 3 mana kill Terminate. Spell that also draws you a card. Like, yeah, we'll take it. That's really good. And then Murderous Compulsion is a similar card. It's 1 and a black, destroy target tapped creature, but it's a sorcery. However, it does have madness for the same cost, 1 and a black, that's how you can get around the sorcery part of it. You can actually do the discarding at instant speed, and then you can pay the madness cost to do this faster.
Yeah, these are noted. It's a noted flaw, right? Like these are worse than other cards that just instant speed destroy things. Like this has a restriction on it after all. But the fact that it's got madness, the fact that we're planning on discarding so many cards, I feel like that's a useful include. Plus, when else are you going to run madness cards?
Yeah, so both of those, you're right. Both of those were sorcery. So the madness version is preferable for every possible reason. I know here.
It's so tough because I was testing it out, and it sucks when you have these cards in your hand but you don't have a blood token. You're like, well, this is the worst. So pros and cons, I suppose.
I feel like we're going to get some other ways to make these cards work here in this
deck,
perhaps?
I think so. Maybe we'll talk about some enemies. Working on a meat. We're all about blood tokens. We've got blood coming in, blood going out, so much. Using a blood token to rummage is nice, but as commander players, what are we addicted to? Value. We can't do anything normally. We have to get more for doing normal game actions.
Oh man, let me tell you something before you go on. This is sounding a lot like the old chicken factory. Blood coming in, blood going out, addicted to value. I mean, if that's not a chicken factory, I don't know what is.
Yeah, who are we? Lilydale?
I was going to say Lilydale for some reason.
Who's the American one?
I was going to say, is that one Americans would know? I don't know. Kroger? Is that a thing? That's a brand. I don't think
I know. There's one that I know of.
I know there is one for me too.
It's like Dale's or something.
Yeah,
Dave's.
Dave's. Oh yeah, dude. Dave's Chicken Factory. That's the one that everyone gets them from.
I don't know.
Hey, listen, get at us on Twitter, in the comments on YouTube. What's your favorite Dave's Chicken Factory story? Tell us. Everyone's got one. Lay it on us. Dave's Chicken Factory. I can't wait.
Tyson Foods. I had to look it up. I used Google.
Where did Dave come from?
It's a name. It's, in my mind, it lives in just a regular name.
I figured
a guy called Tyson.
I thought maybe you knew a guy named Dave Tyson.
Dave Tyson. I don't.
Dave Tyson's Chicken Factory. Maybe that's how it started.
Maybe Tyson is Dave.
Maybe it's Dave Tyson.
I'm not going to look up who founded Tyson Foods.
This wild chicken factory speculation has no place on this. That's for our other podcast.
Right.
That's for our chicken factory podcast.
we want to talk about getting extra value from second blood tokens. And one way we're going to do that is with Mayhem Devil. 1 black red for a devil, 3/3. And whenever a player sacrifices a permanent, Mayhem Devil deals 1 damage to any target. So we're going to do extra damage, right? Remember those 1,000 cuts? We can kill a 1-drop. Maybe for second 2 blood tokens, we can kill something with 2 toughness. But we're probably going to fire this off at players as well. Like they're already losing 1 life here or there. We're happy to just make it hurt.
Totally. This is one of the best ones that does this. I mean, absolutely. Like it's whenever anyone sacrifices stuff. So. Right.
Who else we got?
Okay. Next we have Brawlin. Sky Shark Rider. Brawlin? This is a legendary human, 3/3. This is one that partners with Shabraz, the Sky Shark, which I believe is a blue card, so we're not partnering up in this deck. But Brawlin says whenever you discard a card, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it deals 1 damage to each opponent, and then pay a red, and target shark gains trample until end of turn. Well, how do you do? Maybe
I don't think that part's going to be relevant.
We're probably not going to find a shark in Rakdos.
No.
Zombie sharks, maybe.
There's another. So now we're sacking a blood. We're pinging something. We're doing 1 to each opponent. Brawlin's getting bigger. We're also running Archfiend of Ifnir. This is an MVP of the deck. 3 black for a 5/4 flying demon. And whenever you cycle or discard another card, put a -1/-1 counter on each creature your opponents control. This is brutal, right? Like if you probably want to save up a little mana and like drop this when you're able to crack a couple bloods right away.
Yeah.
And just decimate other people's boards. And guess what? That's probably going to give you a ton more blood while you do that, because I bet you creatures are going to die if you can crack a couple blood tokens. You just need 1 to start it, and then you can just, if you have more mana, you can just keep going with it. I love this card in the deck.
Yeah, the good thing, I mean, at 5 mana, it's not crazy expensive for such a big thing. So it's not unreasonable to think like, okay, we could, we've done a little bit of ramping. We've got 8 mana, and we could drop this and then crack 3 tokens and just like wipe the board of all their sort of small to medium things. That'd be huge.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can do that at instant speed too, right? Like the combat is just a nightmare for them at that point.
Right.
Huge. What do we have next? This one. I mean, please. This is another classic. Another one that is near and dear. Marionette Master. 4 black for the 1/3 Human Artificer. Fabricate 3, which means you can put 3 +1/+1 counters on her, or you can make 3 little servos. 1/1s. And she also says whenever an artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to Marionette Master's power. I've never seen this card without the counters on it, because losing an artifact and then it dealing 4 damage as opposed to 1 is a pretty big and significant difference. Like, you don't need to sacrifice too many blood tokens to just straight up kill people. Like at this point in the game too, right? I mean, she's 6 mana, so she costs a lot, but you drop this and then, there's some stuff you can sacrifice, some artifacts. You're going to do some pretty serious damage.
It occurs to me just now, thinking about Marionette Master, we've got a ton of tokens. We should have, I don't have it, but I'm going to put in Cranial Plating, where it makes a creature's power bigger for the number of artifacts you have. Slap that on a Marionette Master, and then it's like, how many blood do you need to...
Like 2?
2?
Yeah, right? Yeah. Like, you don't need too many.
No.
Yeah, that's an incredible combo with Marionette Master, no question.
So we're talking about, we're doing a lot of sacrificing, right? But eventually it's just like, well, you pitch a land, that's easy. But like, there's times where you're like, well, I don't want to pitch this card. This is an excellent card. This card does not have madness. You end up not doing anything if you're just pitching all the cards you kind of want. So there comes a point where you have to, like, we've put a couple cards in the deck where, they keep the gas running. For example, Oval Chase Daredevil, 3 and a black, human pilot, 4/2. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may return Oval Chase Daredevil from your graveyard to your hand. So now we can pitch Oval Chase Daredevil to blood, and whenever we make a new blood, Oval Chase comes back to our hand. We can do it again with that new blood we just made. And every new blood we make, we can if we're ready to sack it right away, we can just keep cycling Oval Chase Daredevil. We never intend to cast this card.
I love it when there's cards like this that it feels like, the better version of this is that it goes straight to the battlefield or something, right? Like,
right.
But in this deck, this is the version you want. You want this in your hand more than you want it on the battlefield, because that's where the fuel comes in.
Yeah, the fuel.
Give me fuel, give me fire.
We got one more like this.
Squee Goblin Nabob, 2 and a red for the legendary Goblin, 1/1. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may return Squee from your graveyard to your hand. You just get them back at the beginning of your upkeep.
Yeah.
This is the one from... This is the old one, right?
Yes, this is the old one. This is not the
This is the
Dominaria
really old
one.
Yeah. And wow, that really old one is $9, but then of course this version is way cheaper. Gumball.
Yeah.
I mean, this one's like clockwork. You're going to get it back every time, and gives you what you need.
Blood per turn. Yeah, we don't have to make a blood to do it. I love it. So there might be times where we've got a lot of blood tokens, right? I'm talking about sacking them as we get them, but there are definitely times where we're like, well, maybe I've got a ton out there. Like I said, Archfiend of Ifnir, maybe someone wipes the board. You're like, I've got so many blood tokens. I'm not going to go through them quick enough. We got you covered. Fathom Fleet Swordjack is 3 and a red for an orc pirate. It's a 4/3. It also has Encore for 5 and a red, so I'll tell you about that in a sec. But the main ability is, when Fathom Fleet Swordjack attacks, it deals damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking equal to the number of artifacts you control. And the Encore means, if it's in your graveyard, you can exile it for 6, and for each opponent, you make a token copy that attacks that turn of Fable, and it has haste. So you're going to be able to get everyone with its Encore ability. And Encore, I'm going to spell it out just in case you haven't figured it out. We're happy to pitch this card with a blood. It's already in the graveyard. That's where it works. For another 6 mana, we'll just hit everyone for... It doesn't even have to connect. Just the mere attacking is like, well, everyone's taking like 10 from the blood. That's
the big thing with this card, is it doesn't need to actually hit.
No.
It's just the attack, which is wild. So this is good.
Yeah. Love it.
Even if you hard cast it, like, who cares if it dies?
Who cares if it dies? I love it. It's very Rakdos.
Then we get to Encore it, right? We also have Gear per Aether Grid in here, 2 and a red for the enchantment that says tap 2 untapped artifacts you control, and then this deals 1 damage to target creature or player. The target creature part is, I mean, not to be underestimated, right? Like, players are the main thing to hit if we're in this type of deck too. But every now and again, you're just going to be able to just ping off a few, utility creatures, or, finish off a commander or something that blocked, always good.
Yeah. This is a great card to get rid of, like, a pesky Mother of Runes or something like that. Just like activate, give it protection from red. Okay. Yep. Activate again. You can't get around it.
True. That's an excellent usage for this card, actually. Mother of Runes is always such a pain to get
annoying.
rid of. Yeah.
Mother of Runes has one of the highest deltas between annoying for other people but great for you.
Oh, so good for you. You gotta play Mother of Runes.
Yeah.
I love it.
A couple other cards I want to highlight in the deck, just some other like miscellaneous ones in the vein of the 1,000 cuts kind of thing. Curse of Fool's Wisdom's a fun one. It's 4 black for an aura curse that enchants a player, but it has madness for 3 and a black, which we will almost likely always cast for madness. Whenever enchanted player draws a card, they lose 2 life and you gain 2 life. We're probably going to target the blue player, the player who already wants to draw cards. If there's an enchantress player at the table, good luck. You're going to take like 20 damage from your next couple of turns.
You can't play your enchantments, really.
No, you can't. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of this one. And this next one, Andy, it came from one of the Commander's decks. It's very cool.
Yeah, Cunning Rhetoric. It's 2 and a black for an enchantment. It says whenever an opponent attacks you and or one or more planeswalkers you control, exile the top card of that player's library. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's from Commander 2021.
I see. I kind of like this better than like a regular propaganda.
I do too. it just gives you more to play with. Like quite literally, it gives you more cards to play with, right? Like
yeah.
And it's not this. It's like I feel like people are when they need to be deterred by it, they will be. But when they're not, it's like it's you're happy to not deter them. Like you want them to attack you a little bit to get those cards. It feels like so. Yeah, I like it. I think I liked it when it came out too. And I feel like for some reason I might have used this in a deck or something. I can't remember.
Excellent card. Only one. You don't get multiple per attacker. You get one card when they attack you.
Yes.
But I mean, that's worth it. It just you drew their card. I love it.
Yeah, still very good. Well, yeah, there you go.
There you go. So we're goading. We're creating blood tokens. We use them for all kinds of abilities. I mean, all these little like when they attack you abilities, all of our little death touchers. Those are great when we get down to maybe heads up, and goading means they have to attack you because there are no other opponents. We're well suited to get through that part of the game as well. Yeah, the only real drawback is if you keep Kamber off the table by like just removing it before there's a chance to make much blood, deck hurts if you can't make any blood. That's the truth.
Are there other ways to make blood like in the deck? Like
I don't think so.
We're just leaning on our commander here big time.
Yeah, it's tough because like I think I've got like some of those red draw spells that are discard and draw to kind of like take advantage of that as well. But like most, speaking from a commander perspective, most cards that make blood tokens they aren't good.
Yeah.
Like it's either like, hey, is a way overcosted removal spell that also makes a blood.
Yeah, I get that feeling when I saw the sets too, yeah.
Yeah, they always do it that way, right? Like there's never, they can't make it too free and easy. So it's really mostly the commander.
But we love free and easy.
Oh yeah, that's all we want to do. Like we don't want to work hard for stuff.
Is the best way to work.
Yeah.
Don't they know that about us?
They know.
So yeah. Well, I mean, I it's not unlike very many commander decks out there where we've got an ability, we're building around it, and we're going to try and keep our commander on the board as long as possible.
Right. I had some help from the Discord putting this one together, and I want to thank them. Thank you to Madisman, Nickel Doodle, The Wizard Cops, Pips Don't Lie, Papadio, Chiefy, Slothbear55, Mr. Big Bents, and Knackle Booper.
It just dawns on me now that Nickel Doodle and Knackle Booper are not the same person.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I thought they were kind of the same. Like one, like he just changed his name.
I know.
They changed their name a little bit.
I thought there was a name change. Then that was what happened there, but I guess not.
And now, whenever I read the name Pips Don't Lie, I imagine Chips Don't Lie.
It's also true.
Yeah. Shall we do the budget report?
Let's.
Okay, so TCG mid, $99.40, just a hair under $100, but you can do this on the low for $50. I don't know who is buying a full commander deck ever. like
yeah.
You have some of these cards. I don't know. I wonder if this pricing them this way is obsolete. Nonetheless, it's a good benchmark.
I mean, I feel like there's some people who come close. Like I know I've come pretty close to just buying a complete commander deck before, but that was when it was like all new cards from a new set. So
you know what? You make a good point. Like I have also, because we put a lot of decks together that are made up of a lot of commons, a lot of uncommons, a lot of cheap cards. We try to do it on the budget, but like there are times when I'm like, I want to copy this deck myself, and like it's probably way easier to buy this common for 8 cents rather than try to find a copy of it in my collection somewhere. So,
and then that begs the question, like, why do we keep the collection?
Why do I keep commons?
Why do we keep commons and uncommons? I know I have boxes of them because we're hoping that one's going to be like, whoa, it's a crazy uncommon that's now worth $10 and I've got 4 of them. Like, who,
never gonna happen. The most expensive card in the deck, always a surprise, Yahenni Undying Partisan. 2 and a black, legendary Aetherborn Vampire, 2/2, haste. And whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Yahenni, and you can sack another creature to give Yahenni indestructible till end of turn. This is an excellent sacrifice outlet. Kamber loves seeing it. If we've got if we're desperate for a blood, we can just sack one of our other creatures and make a blood token that way. I guess Yahenni doesn't suck blood. They these kind of vampires get ether, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't know the story fully with the Etherborn outside of the fact that they don't have super long lifespans. So
yeah,
an Etherborn vampire is a cool idea though.
Almost $10.
Crazy. This was very much a budget card when it was around for a long time. It feels like
it doesn't surprise me. It's perfect board wipe protection.
Yeah,
sack a creature's gonna die anyway. And the board wipe finishes, and now you've got like a 15/15 or something.
That's why we all included it in so many decks over the years.
So many.
Next is Goblin Spymaster. This is the one that's 2 and a red for the 2/1 Goblin Rogue with first strike, and at the beginning of each opponent's end step, that player creates a 1/1 red Goblin creature token with creatures you control attack each combat if able. This card is $8.75 now.
Yeah. Commander card.
Are these cards that are just being printed in Commander decks only expensive because that's the only place you can get them? I think so. I guess so, right?
I mean, I truly wonder sometimes, maybe we don't appreciate when people say Commander is the most popular, the fastest growing format. Perhaps we don't appreciate how big it is because, yeah, there's only I don't know the economy. I don't know how many decks they print, but this is an old Commander deck card. And there's only so many out there. And if the population of Commander players has grown exponentially, everybody makes a dozen decks, right? Nobody makes 2 decks. So everyone wants a Goblin Spymaster. So
this card is fun and it's flavorful and it's cool and I like it a lot and it's good in probably a few different types of decks, but it's still pretty narrow. It's not this goes in every red deck type thing. So I remember when this was printed, no one was talking about this card. This wasn't an exciting card at all.
No.
And the fact that it's almost $10 is they just gotta. I mean, maybe they'll do it with Commander Legends too, where they'll just print a lot of these types of cards again.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do that because that's what needs to happen. I feel right? Because these prices, these cards are getting if you started playing Commander now, you'd be like, what? I thought this was supposed to be the format for, where I don't have to spend. So, I mean, that's wrong. Whoever thought that is wrong. If you're if you're playing Commander to be the budget format, you're wrong.
I suppose it's if you're the new player and you also know new players and you're all kind of getting into it at the same time, as long as everyone's equally new, it's going to be fine.
That's true.
But it's hard to incorporate a new player into a veteran group.
Yeah, it's tough.
One more pricey card I want to highlight here is Hellkite Tyrant. I don't know if this is perfect for the deck, but it's fun to think about. It's 4 red for a dragon, 6/5, flying and trample. Whenever Hellkite Tyrant deals combat damage to a player, gain control of all artifacts that player controls. That's just super mean and awesome. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 20 or more artifacts, you win the game. It's possible even without attacking. We could make enough blood and mana rocks, other things like that to just win that way. But that's a $7 card. It says win the game. It's a mythic.
Yeah, I think this one was even more expensive until it got reprinted in Commander 2021.
Oh,
right?
really?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good.
But yeah, this is a very fun card, of course, and this is we built a whole deck around this card, the old Brea Hellkite Tyrant deck. Very fun deck. Yeah.
Well, that is the deck.
There it is.
There it is.
I like it. I like that you leaned a little more into the theme that I thought these partners were going to have, which is the sneak attackers through to have there's the section where you had the guy the what's his name there, the Fathom Fleet Sword Jack, who when he hits deals all kinds of damage to the opponent based on the number of artifacts you have. I like that. I love that angle of it, and I it's a kind of a it's a nice mix between the classic red artifact decks, sacrificing artifacts type stuff with this like goad mechanic that, although it's not the top thing of the deck, it's something that we're going to use a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't mentioned it, but I run like Carter, like some other goad cards just to make combat happen.
Even thinking back to Brawlin, like if that card gets big enough and you've goaded them and they don't have any blockers, like Brawlin's going to be a big problem for them.
Yeah, yeah.
Very cool deck.
Yeah, super fun. Thanks everybody for helping me brew it up. Yeah. Check it out on the show notes. Let us know what you think.
We'll talk to everyone next week. In a bit, you'll see the lost cards. Goodbye.
Bye. Thanks for watching. If you love what we're doing, consider supporting the show by going to patreon.com/commandersbrew.
And if you want to get any of the cards from our deck list, go.
That helps us out too. And for a free way to help us out, consider sharing the show with some friends. Like and subscribe, add a comment or two.
See you later.
Bye.